We are presenting a market entry plan for Westfield malls into Canada. My name is Jessica Spivey.
I'm Ben Kernan.
I'm Victor.
And I'm Ross Eckel.
So Westfield is known as the world's largest retail property group. They currently have 119 shopping centers located throughout Australia, New Zealand, the United Kingdom, and the US. And they have over 10 million square meters of retail space currently.
Yeah, and one measure of success for any retail management group would be their occupancy rate. This is how many of their actual locations are occupied by tenants. The industry standard is about 91.4%. We can see that in Westfield's home country, they have a 99% occupancy rate. In its largest operating country, the United States, it's 94%, so they're well above industry standard. And just a little bit about their organizational structure. It's vertically integrated, so everything from the architectural design to the construction, the actual management and leasing of the mall, as well as marketing, is all done by Westfield.
Westfield was started in 1959 with their first shopping center in Sydney, Australia. They continued to expand throughout Australia and went public in 1960 on the Sydney Stock Exchange. Throughout the 70s, they continued to expand and entered the US through an acquisition in Connecticut. Throughout the 90s, they actually tripled their US portfolio, so it was a huge expansion era. In 1997, they entered New Zealand for the first time, followed by entering the United Kingdom in 2000.
So what does Westfield produce? What kind of services does it offer? The product is pretty cut and dry. It's a high-end shopping center. That's what it does. It's what it's good at. It's what it's going to do as it enters into Canada as well. Services, your standard mall management leasing services, is securing tenants, the regular upkeep of a shopping center, as well as 3 distinct different marketing and advertising services. We'll go into those later on, as well as community outreach. Westfield takes pride in its image in the community where its centers are located, tries to foster an image as a positive contributor to the community. So the first marketing service, they call it brand space. It's aimed at basically the large anchor stores in any one of the centers. These are, large department stores like Neiman Marcus. Brand space is basically a set of retail campaigns, sampling promotions, seasonal events, advertising. With the goal is basically for that store or a group of stores in Westfield centers to increase their sales, foster brand awareness, store awareness of that particular location, so that these department stores are selling more, they're getting more foot traffic into them. Partnership marketing. This is tailored around large international brands. You see here, Porsche, Nintendo, Comcast. These are all brands that have worked with Westfield before in partnership marketing. What they try to do is through sponsorships of fashion shows. They have celebrity appearances in the actual Westfield centers. This increases regional publicity for that brand. It also gets publicity for Westfield. It's kind of a win-win there. And specialty leasing. This is basically a service offered to seasonal stores or maybe a startup retailer. This is someone who's trying to start a new business. So what Westfield can offer them is a flexible short-term lease, as little as a week, upwards to 3 months. So maybe if it's a costume store, they want to take advantage of just the Halloween season. That's when they open a store. That's what they do. If it's a startup company, Westfield can help basically as a consultant would with business development, merchandising, consumer research. So it goes towards the goal of successfully launching a business or a product.
As a mature market, the Westfield Group faces a great deal of both domestic and international competition when entering into Canada. The Westfield Group has previously worked in democratic countries such as the United States and the United Kingdom, so they should face little political risk when interacting in the Canadian democratic system of government.
And additionally, because Canada is a mature market, their consumers are very educated. They've been exposed to retail stores for many years now. And also, there's already an established retail market in Canada, so Westfield will not have to create a market, and will have easy access to possible tenants for their malls. Some of the benefits of entering Canada: there's 34 million people, so they'll have Westfield will have a huge customer base to tap into, and almost half the population lives within the 6 major cities in Canada. So Westfield can build around these city centers and target the wealthy consumers. Mostly English speaking, 85%, so Westfield will not have to deal with a language barrier. All the countries they're currently operating in are English speaking. Canada is also quickly bouncing back from the recession. They have low interest rates and a strong recovery in employment and attractive retail prices, so it hasn't greatly affected consumer spending. Canadians are still spending their money, so that's good for a mall. And also, U.S. retailers are now looking to move into Canada as their next market, stores like Victoria's Secret and Gap, so it will be easy for Westfield to use their retailer relations that they currently have in the U.S. when moving into Canada.
So the decision to move into Canada was partially based on the fact that there's a level of comfortability with that type of market already. As we've mentioned, that Westfield is already in countries like the US and Australia, and Canada kind of is a blend of all the countries that they have already entered, where you have, it's bordering the United States, so you have very similar aspects of between those two countries, but at the same time, the Canadian government is parliamentary, which is also similar, to the Australian government. So the Westfield Group won't have as many issues like we just talked about with the government. Furthermore, in terms of the fact that they're mainly English speaking, not only will they have no language barrier, but oftentimes when you move into a new country, you might have issues in terms of mistranslation, which, if you're moving into China or another country where they're not necessarily speaking English, could be a big issue if you're advertising and the advertising doesn't necessarily reflect exactly what you want it to say because of the translation. Lastly, another environmental issue is that Canada is moving to become a more green country, so the Westfield Group has to take into account when they're building their mall that they are following some of the guidelines and also promoting a greener environment in order to better work with the Canadian government.
The Westfield Group faces a great deal of competition from both domestic and international corporations all around Canada. We recommend that Westfield enter large urban areas when entering the Canadian market, and into Canada's largest cities, which are Toronto, Vancouver, and Montreal, which alone in its metro area has over 50 shopping centers. There are approximately 26 shopping centers currently in Canada with over 1 million square feet of retail space. In 2008, the Westfield Group developed Westfield London, which has over 1.6 million square feet of retail space. So the company is experienced in large-scale development of shopping centers.
So when determining the potential target market for Westfield, we first looked at Canadian consumer behavior, and what we saw is that they averaged 15.7 mall visits per year, and use enclosed malls double the amount of Americans. Also, 59% of Canadian shoppers do most of their shopping at shopping malls, and over 90% visit shopping malls at least once per year. So these are some great numbers for Westfield. Some newer behaviors are that due to the recession, Canadians are using budgets, online shopping, and coupons at a higher rate. And also that they're not only looking to shop at these malls, but they're also looking to relax and hang out. And then another thing that Westfield's going to have to adapt when looking at to start up this mall is that Canadians look for higher quality goods as well as more outdoor looks. So they'll need to address this when choosing which stores. So from this information, we decided on 3 target market segments, and this is Canadians between the ages of 18 and 24, women with families, and households with income levels over $35,000. And this was based on some supporting facts that we've concluded here, and that is that Canadians between the ages of 18 and 24 have an above average use of the shopping malls. Canadians with income levels falling below that $35,000 mark have below average use of shopping malls, and that the majority of Canadian women who were surveyed said that they did most of the shopping for their families, so they'll be shopping a lot and frequently. And those surveyed with the highest incomes had especially strong use of these shopping malls. So Westfield will want to target those who will be shopping the most and spending the most money.
In terms of our market entry strategy,